We've talked previously about Bioshock and its Randian philosophy and the illusion of choice, which pervades through various different levels. And of course, like any successful game, you will get spiritual successors, which itself is a spiritual successor to System Shock 2. You'll get reboots and spin-offs, and most importantly, sequels. So we did get Bioshock 2. And if the first one was, like I say, Randian philosophy and all of that, the second one was very much more communist. And it was, of course, very different in playstyle. A small section of the first one had you basically in a big daddy suit, kind of doing a bit of an escort mission to a little sister and things like that. But they basically then turned that into a full game. If you wanted to look at it very, very cynically, I guess. But that's what it is. It is kind of an escort mission game, which I hate escort missions with a fiery passion. But I love the world and I persevered with it, thankfully. Because it is a great world. And I know a lot of people, it's a very divisive entry into, I suppose, the trilogy, if you will, with this and Infinite and the first one. There are people who love it more than the first. There are people who detest it and say it's not really a Bioshock game. And there's people like me on the fence, like I say, it's part of the world, but I see it as just another interpretation of that world. You're playing a very different character type. You're not someone coming in who we learn later on was technically a product of the place anyway. But you're not someone coming in from outside. You're a part of it. You're an intrinsic part of it. You're one of the enemies that we've fought in the last game quite extensively. And it's a very different beast. The Randian philosophy that existed as in the first one. I mean, there are elements of it that's great. I do agree that if you put effort into something, you should profit from that. But there needs to be infrastructure. There are people who are too infirm. There are people who are too old now to work. There are just people who just cannot contribute in the same way. And where Ayn Rand and Andrew Ryan see them both as parasites. They are leeches on the system. They don't contribute. Why should they have anything? The sort of communist and sort of lamb philosophy, I guess, is very much like, well, it's the greater good. If we all pull together, we're going to do so much more. It's a united we stand, divided we fall kind of mentality. And I do think for those of us that would fall through the cracks in the Ryan Rand philosophy, that's where lamb and that mentality has to come in. It's very good as a sort of counterpoint, I think, to the first one. It's flawed, it's less fun, I would say, but that's particularly, I think, because I don't like escort missions. But it does deal with the idea of, what about if we all pull together, and that very compassionate human idea. If we all look after each other, we will do so much better. And that's what Bioshock 2 is for me. It's a lesson in pulling together. It's not communism per se, it's more perhaps socialism. But it is a flawed game. I don't rate it. I definitely think 1 and Infinite are superior. Burial at Sea probably even as well. But it was an entry that, I was like, well, I'll play it. I'll make my own judgment, again, like I finally did with the first one. And I enjoyed it kind of for what it was. So, if you like that world, play it, why not? You're not really losing out, but don't expect amazing things. But that's it, really. It's just a very short one. I did want to just cover it off so that I know I've done it. There's not really much to say about it, I don't think. It's not massive on its own merits. So, that'll be it for now. But I do hope you join me next time, where we'll be sort of exploring something very different entirely. So I do hope you join me then. But until then, as always, thanks for watching and take care.